Hey everyone, it's Brad and Josh here, and we welcome you back, or for the first time, to We'll Bring the Popcorn, your favorite film and TV podcast.
Now, I want to move us into our final review of this week, which is the Brad Pitt-led F1 film. This follows the story of Brad Pitt as this older racer named Sonny Hayes, who was kind of a bit of a young phenomenon growing up as a Formula One driver who unfortunately suffers a very serious accident that kind of took him out of that Formula One world, but he's gone on this personal mission of just rediscovering his love for racing, and he's willing to chase that, that high that he talks about feeling in that Formula One car through various different types of races. And it kind of starts off with this 24 hours at Daytona race that, he jumps in and is a part of and helps his team win basically. And it kind of kicks off the rest of the story of the film where, he gets recruited by his friend Ruben, who's played by the absolutely fantastic Javier Bardem. Love Javier Bardem, but he recruits him to join his failing Formula One racing team in the hopes that it'll save it and keep, he's very financially in the hole, and, it leads into the events of the rest of this film. And I gotta say, man, out of the three films we watched this week, this might wind up being my favorite of the three.
Oh, this is absolutely my favorite three. As much as I loved and enjoyed 28 Years Later, F1 was exhilarating. Yeah. Like it was, Joseph Kosinski, who directed this, he did Top Gun Maverick last that we saw from him. And this is this year's Top Gun Maverick to me. Like he has turned into a director that knows how to do driving, flying, vehicle action sequences. Like I'll preface it, I'm not a F1 or racing enjoyer. My dad was huge into NASCAR. I never got into it. So I can see, and I've already seen online that some people who are, hardcore and lovers of F1, well, this isn't realistic. We know with a lot of this, that there's a lot of bumping and broken parts and wrecks and crashes, like stuff that happens, but they amp it up to 11 for the drama of the story. Again, it's a film. It's not a documentary. The visuals were breathtaking. Like sitting in watching these races of getting it from the driver's perspective and over the tire and behind, like just unbelievably gorgeous cinematography for watching these races. There's so much going on that I was so into every race that I'm watching because it was just so beautiful and amazing to watch and stuff. The story can be a little silly at times because, you're talking about a racer that he's been out of F1 for 30 years, but his buddy's like, well, I've got a rookie as my number 2. He doesn't get along with the number 3, who's another young guy. We got 9 races left to go, or I lose this team. Will you come race something that you haven't raced in 30 years that almost killed you? Okay, let's go do it. It's a little silly and preposterous in that way, but I didn't care. I was having so much fun and enjoyment. It was beautiful to look at. Like the racing sequences, this might be the best racing film that I've ever seen because it just had me so engrossed and emotional. I think I even told you after the film was over, like that last lap or two of the final race, I don't know if I took a breath during that because I was so into it. I'm just like watching what's happening. Because they've done some silly, crazy, multiple wrecks and other stuff. Like, is this going to end like you think it's going to end, or are they going to do something preposterous to end it? But it was just, I was glued to every racing sequence that they did in this film.
Yeah, I had a little bit of trepidation going into this because, one, of being a racing fan when I was younger and into my adulthood. Like, I've fallen off of it significantly in the last 10 to 15 years for sure, but I was very much hardcore brought up into NASCAR and racing and heavy things like that, like you mentioned. And I had a little bit of trepidation going into it. One, with that, two, the length of the film. It's a 2.5 hour movie. It's not a short film by any means, but they did such a good job of keeping my attention. I didn't notice it was a 2.5 hour movie. It really didn't. And it kept that grip on you the entire time. The racing sequences, like you said, were shot incredibly well. The story does a good enough job of holding everything together, right? Because you have this guy who struggled with, finding his passion for racing again and was chasing it. And you get this, grizzled old veteran trying to bring along the young rookie who flashes all the potential in the world, but needs a little bit of guidance to become the best version of himself. So you have that dynamic. Who give a little bit of a flowers to Damson Idris, who played Joshua Pierce, the rookie in this film as well. Like, he did a really good job of playing that cocky young kid who has the world at his hands, but he's just missing one or two small things from being a young upstart kid to becoming the superstar that he could be. And I think they did a good job of bringing him along in this film as well, to kind of develop that character that you get, where he finally starts to get it. Like, he doesn't agree hardly ever with Brad Pitt's character, but they play off of each other so well that the chemistry between the two of them was a lot of fun. Especially, one of my favorites was just a subtle not really a throwaway, but kind of like a bonding scene for them with the dinner and the card game, which was a lot of fun banter back and forth that was done really well. But man, those visuals on the racetrack were stunning. They were gorgeous, like so well shot, and it was taken with a lot of care that you could tell they paid a lot of respect to racing and the feel that you get when you're in a car like that can move like it moves, and you get so many of those elements I think were done right. And yes, there's some of those elements that have to be sensationalized for film, but they do it in such a good way here, man. Like, it really felt like you were in that tight driver's seat with Brad Pitt, or with Damson Idris as Joshua Pierce, like in their cars with them and feeling what they felt when they raced. And it was just so well shot, man. I had an absolute blast watching this.
Yeah, and there was CGI and stuff used, but they did so much smooth that I didn't really notice or care if I did see anything that popped up. Like, you're talking about feeling the speed of vehicles that can go 200 plus miles an hour, whipping around these tracks. Like, you felt it. You got to see the races in so many different ways. Like, I don't know if I could go watch an F1 race now after seeing how they did those shots and stuff. Like, oh, I'm just getting a top-down view of them going like this. Well, give me a driver view, give me an over-the-tire view, because they did a film that just so perfectly, to me, showed that racing off. Again, I'm not a racing fan. I love cars and stuff, but I'm not a racing fan, and I love this movie. Like, it was the summer blockbuster you want to see, because the visuals, the racing action was just so exhilarating and fun. It was just something that I'm just... All right, we got the story, we got the in-between stuff, which is fun. All right, we're at another race. All right, I'm ready to watch what they do with it, because it was just, the races were beautifully done. Like, they were just so well filmed and shot. Like, I'm not talking about technical of the actual race cars, the drivers, or the teams, or anything, just of a movie racing sequence. They were phenomenal. And I have to give props to Carrie Condon as Kate. She was really fantastic, being one of the two kind of lone women in this story who's part of the team, just leading up the team, handling all the aerodynamics of building the car, and a lot of the stuff can go on her, and she's got her storyline where she's trying to prove people wrong and stuff. They don't give as much depth to her, but she gets just enough that she gets to carry. I love her accent and stuff too, so hearing her go at Brad Pitt, that accent just helped accentuate that more. Like, all right, yeah, she's giving it to him right now, and that accent just helped make it sound so much better when she's ribbing him and going off on him. But yeah, Brad Pitt and Damson did such a good job playing off each other. I think it took a little long to get to the point of where you finally get to see, or Brad, Sonny Hayes finally sees what he's doing wrong, and Damson sees what he's going wrong. It takes to the pretty much a very end before they start seeing that. It took a little long to get there, but as I said, I was so enthralled with what they were doing, I didn't really care. Like, the story isn't the strongest part of it, but it does the best job that it needed to do to fit these visuals. Like, this is the Top Gun Maverick of this summer.
Yeah, of course, it definitely is, and I hope it does gangbusters at the box office, because this felt like a big time blockbuster action film, and it had all of the elements that you want in a blockbuster action film, right? You got a little bit of a love story, you've got elements of danger, excitement, and just all of these things marry really well with a very beautifully visually produced film that you could just tell, like I said, they pay so much respect to the being as authentic as they possibly can be to, show off what these drivers go through during these races. And it does such a good job of that you don't have to be a racing fan to appreciate it. Like they pay so much attention to detail. And like, if you're a hardcore racing person, like, I still think you will get a lot of enjoyment out of this, because this is probably the closest, most accurate representation of this that I think we've ever seen, really. I mean, you could quote another Tom Cruise film, Days of Thunder, which is probably the most accurate type racing film that we've seen come out of it so far. But this is just leaps and bounds ahead of it, and it might wind up making one of my favorite movies of the year list, because I think we both just came out of it like, wow, that was just a phenomenal movie.
I'm ready to run. I think we both, so we're ready to run through a brick wall.
Yeah, we're ready to run through a wall, man. I was hyped. I was pumped coming out of that. Like, that was a lot of fun.
That's really hard to drive home after watching F1.
You just want to,
like, all right, I do not have a race car. This is an SUV or a small car. We are not race cars.
Love it.
Yeah, it wasn't a race car.
Like, we weren't cutting corners quickly or anything like that, driving home or anything. But yeah, but you had that feeling, that want to go out and do like one of those Richard Petty experiences or something, where you can go out and drive a car on a track or something and just have a good time with it. It kind of makes me want to do something like that. So I think they were very successful there, but for sure. But in the end, F1 is just a phenomenal representation of racing, and they paid a lot of true homages to everything that goes into making these cars look and move the way they do. I think it was such an accurate representation of racing, as well as they could have done. Yeah, things were a little bit sensationalized for the sake of a film, which are kind of needed to be, man. I'm not going to lie. I'm giving this film a 9. I'm giving it a solid 9. It's not a completely perfect movie, but it's really, really close. It's really good, really well done. It's a little long, like you said, which may knock it down just a little bit for me, but it really didn't feel like it was a long movie while we were watching it. The action sequences are absolutely phenomenally well done, and had us, as much as a cliche is, I think we were both on the edges of our seats watching this film and just in bated breath to see how it was going to end, and how each of these races had a little bit something different. Like, we got a lot of racing in this movie, and each race felt like it was its own thing and kind of different from each other, and how they portrayed the race. And just a lot of really, really solid, phenomenal elements done in this film that I have to land on a 9.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 9 as well. It's one of my favorite films of the year because it was so exhilarating. Like, the cinematography and the filming of these races was just gorgeous to look at. You felt the speed. You felt like you were there in the car with them. Like, there was nothing really in those sequences that really took you out, seeing like it was CG, or because many times like race sequences in movies, you can tell, all right, they're actually driving like 20 miles an hour, and you can tell they're driving 20 miles an hour. You felt the intensity of these races and of what the cars are going through. Yeah, it's got some silly, absurd, over-the-topness, some stuff with Sonny Hayes keeping the entire line of cars behind him to try to help his teammates, and the amount of wrecks and other stuff that happened in such a short amount of time from to do. But I didn't really care about those few shortcomings of the story because the action sequences were so phenomenal. Like, Joseph Kosinski has quickly become, after Top Gun Maverick and now F1, one of those. If he's doing an action vehicle movie, I'm going to go see it, because he leaves you with that feeling that you want from a summer blockbuster, that you left amped up and pumped up and exhilarated by the action that you saw. So it well deserves a 9. That 1 point off is just basically for the story not being as strong as it could be. Again, I'm not an F1 racing watcher, so technical aspects of if they got this right or that right, I didn't really care, because it did enough of what it needed to do in the film to have me just absolutely enthralled in every single race. So a 9 is perfectly solid for this movie, and I hope it makes a ton of money, because it is one that absolutely deserves to be seen in movie theaters. The sound, the feel of the rumble, the size of screen, you need that theatrical experience F1.
Yeah, this is definitely one that we recommend 100% going and seeing. If you can splurge to get one of those where you really feel the rumble in the seats too, like it's one of those in theater experiences that make that experience so magical for us, and it's worth every penny for it for sure, because you get the feel and the rumble in your seat, and you feel like you're along for that ride too. And they do such a good job of keeping you invested in what's going on and caring about what happens to these characters, and rooting for them to get more successful with each race and hopefully eventually find a way to win and save the day. So go check out that film. F1 is in theaters now. We cannot recommend enough going to see it. Come to our Discord. Let us know what you think about the film, because it's just easily going to wind up on probably both of our end-of-year lists of favorite movies of the year. We had such a good time with it, and we hope you got the same enjoyment out of that as well. To find all of the episodes of We'll Bring the Popcorn, go to our YouTube page, hit the like and subscription button so you're getting our episodes when they drop each and every Monday. If you're listening to us in the audio realm on any of the podcasting platforms that we're on, please don't forget to give us a 5-star review. It really helps elevate the profile of the show. And don't forget to go to willbringthepopcorn.com, where it has all of our archive videos, all of our social media information, as well as our merch store, so you continue to support the show in that way. We cannot thank you enough for your continued support.